This is the Stampede. I'm your host, Steve Foster, and this is the Shady Sports Network. And if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do so now. This is going to be a weekly podcast where we bring you everything you need to know about your Gillette Mustangs.
Before we get to our guest, we wanted to say a quick thank you to this week's sponsor, Rail Yard Bar and Grill. Located at 113 South Gillette Avenue, Rail Yard is open from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. every weekday with extended hours on weekends. Enjoy half-price pints, half-price well drinks, $2 off a 6-ounce glass of wine, and $6 appetizers every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. to close. Stop by for the big game and help support these proud sponsors of your Gillette Mustangs. Thank you, Rail Yard, for your support of indoor football in Wyoming. Now back to our episode.
Today we have a very special guest. This is going to be episode 2 of the podcast, and tonight we are going to have head coach Cedric Walker. Cedric, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Outstanding. Thank you for being on tonight, Coach. So, Coach, you have some great experience playing in the NFL. You have experience playing in arena ball, and you have experience playing in indoor ball. Please explain to the casual fan that might not know the difference. Now, I know, the casual fan can readily see the differences between NFL-style football versus indoor arena-style football, but what are the differences between arena ball and indoor ball?
Well, arena football, which I was blessed to play for 10 years, it's more of a pass-happy league. If you look at it, you look at the Kurt Warners that came out of the league. It's more pass where it's really showcasing the quarterbacks, receivers, and the DBs. As you come to the indoor league, it's more as the outdoor, but it's brought inside. So you got 8 men. It's a lot more fast paced. You see guys now that can come from this league and go straight to the USFL, go to the XFL, and some guys go to the CFL. So this is actually a great league for the guys who are trying to get film to get to the outdoors.
So the CIF is a indoor style football?
Yes, sir, it is. It's more of I would call it more of the same style as the IFL. The only thing is we have a tight end in this league. So basically you would have realistically 5 receivers out at one time. I know the IFL doesn't use the tight end, so they use a 2-guard rule.
You played defensive back in the arena football, and speaking of Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, did you have the opportunity to play against him?
Absolutely. We beat up on Kurt a couple of times. My Kurt Warner story is in 1997, we played in the Arena Bowl. He was with the Iowa Barnstormers. I was with the Arizona Rattlers, and we beat him in the championship game. And that following year, he ended up going to St. Louis, and he ended up becoming the NFL MVP. So when everybody talks about that, and then when we actually see Kurt, he gets mad at us because we took his ring. And I'm like, man, you're a Hall of Famer. But he was mad about that ring that we beat him in 97.
This one is over. The Arizona Rattlers and Arena Bowl championship.
I love that story.
Yeah, big time.
How excited are you to be teaming up with arena football legend, your new offensive coordinator, Reggie Gray?
I'm actually blessed. I actually coached Reggie in 2015 with San Jose SaberCats. Reggie's here now. He has a great offensive mind. He's a worker, and I appreciate that. He understands that the nuance of the game being a receiver. The blessed thing about Reggie is that he has no ego. He understands that it's teams first. And I know the city of Gillette will absolutely love him once they see the offense that we have this year.
Coach, I've been asking everybody about the new rule changes, and I just want to know, I've been asking a lot of players their input. It'd be nice to finally hear what a coach thinks. Are you excited for the opportunity to put up fast points, or are you also nervous about somebody putting 80 on you on it, if they're hot on a certain night?
I mean, my thing is as a defensive coordinator, it's just more plays. As a guy who's played this game for 10 years, this will be my 18th year coaching arena and indoor. I think it's good for the fans. There is no such thing as a blowout no more, because I think in realistically you can get anywhere between 8 points at any type of possession. I think it's going to be more situational because I think some teams might not choose to have a kicker. That might hurt them in the long run. And you just got to play it. I know that our owner Steve, Steve Titus, was one of the guys who talked about this rule. I think it's going to be good for the CIF because it keeps the fans, excited, and also as a defensive coach, it also keeps you on your toes because there is no more, just extra points because they can go for 2, they can go for 3, they can go for 4. So you got to make sure that your coaches, your players understand the situation of football. And also, it also helps at the end of the, as we say, the end of the, the half, because if you're getting the ball coming out, third quarter, that might change up the way you want to do things once you score.
For sure. 10-point swings in a hurry.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge because the one thing about the game, and I feel it's good, is every league has a niche, and once you get your niche and the people understand the niche, that league will flourish. And I think this is a good change for the CIF. I know a couple of coaches that really love it, and I know there's a couple of coaches that are from the old school that don't like it. But change is good, and it's like with anything, until you realize how good it is, it's hard to change from things that you've been used to over and over and over. But as a coach going into this season, I actually like it, and I think it's going to be beneficial to us in Gillette.
I think the fan reaction is pretty much the same. As you have some fans that are really old school and they just don't want to
right. Change is different. Yeah, change is hard.
Yep. I actually agree with you. I think once we see it play out in front of us and we see a couple amazing comebacks, I think everybody's going to be on board with it.
And it's funny because you're always going to have those Monday Monday coaches like, well, if you did a 3-point or if you did the 4-point, this would have happened. So now you add more to the what ifs to it. So that makes it more exciting.
Exactly. I love that. Coach, without giving away any kind of, trade secrets, what can the fans of the Gillette Mustangs expect from this team going into the new year?
Well, the main thing is it's going to be structure. That's one thing that Steve and I talked about before we even started putting this team together. Having structure. The main thing is football has to be important to these guys. We had a lot of guys, and I hate to speak on it, but last year, I don't know if football was important to these guys, but every guy that we recruited, every guy that we brought here is trying to get to the next level. If it's the IFL, if it's the XFL, USFL, they got to understand that this is their NFL, XFL here. If they can't handle it here, then they won't be able to flourish. And I know that, once again, Steve has done an excellent job of putting this organization together and making sure that everything we do is done with structure, and then also make sure that we have character around here. So the people of Gillette will understand that this is going to be a character, blue-collar team that's going to play football for them, and it's going to be successful this year.
The Fargo Invaders announced that they're going to be playing 3 CIF teams this year, and I believe Gillette is one of those teams.
Yes.
Any concerns playing a semi-pro team kind of 3/4 of the way through the season for you guys?
That's a great question. Yes and no. We're approaching every game is that, we're coming at you. I've given Coach Gray the green light. Our job is his job is to score, and my job as a defensive coordinator is to stop him. It just happened where the cards is in the part of the season that we have to play them, but we're going to treat them as an opponent. Obviously, as you saw last year, the team that they had here, you had a semi-pro team came in and beat them because you got to realize football is football. That's why you play the game. So we're going to take them just like any other opponent that we're playing against this year. We're going to go at them. We're going to have game plans. We're going to do what we need to do to be successful.
Speaking of you calling the defensive plays, I don't know if everybody knows, but not only are you the head coach, but you're also going to be the defensive coordinator for this upcoming season. Are you really excited to be able to put your own spin on the play calling?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coming in midseason last year, not being able to recruit the guys that you want that doesn't fit, that fits your philosophy, your style. It was difficult. We made do with what we had, but to be able to have a full off season, to be able to recruit, watch film of these guys, bring the guys in that I know that fits our system. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a lot different. I know the fans of Gillette will see. I'm not a big talker in regards to promising, but I know when we get to that point, when you see us, it's going to be a lot different than what it was last year in regards to our defense.
Players that I've interviewed up to this point, I'm always intrigued by them, their experience on a 100-yard field and then having to go into a 50-yard war.
Mm-hmm.
They're always telling me that the pace of the game, the speed of the game is faster.
Yep.
Is there any changes to coaching philosophy going from outdoor to indoor?
Absolutely. Angles are different. You got to realize everything's a lot quicker. I mean, if you look at the hashes, you go from, you look at one college hash, you throw it to the opposite side to the other field, you don't get that in the indoor. Everything is quick. A lot of techniques that you use in the outdoor don't work in the indoor in regards to, being able to, and I call it the herding technique. You got to stay square as much as possible. And, when you're teaching guys when they first come from the outdoor to indoor, I have to tell them it's more like basketball on turf because it's really quick. The one thing you always want to do is keep your man in front of you. And it's hard because you're teaching a guy, that's been taught something for 22, 23 years that works in the outdoor, that it doesn't work in the indoor. So it's hard because a lot of these guys, especially I'm speaking of the defensive backs, hey, coach, why? And then you have to show them why it works here. And then once they understand it, it's easy for it to transition from the indoor to the outdoor. And it's harder coming from the outdoor to the indoor with that.
Your favorite moment as a player and your favorite moment as a coach?
My favorite moment as a player actually is the 97 game. I was with the Arizona Rattlers, and at that time, that was the best team. There was no egos. I played with Hunky Cooper, Sid Bonner, Randy Gatewood, Bo Kelly, and it was just we had so much fun, and guys understood their role, and our practices were worse than the games. And as a coach was a 2015 San Jose SaberCats, which, we went 20-1 that year. And that was, the coaching staff with, Coach Malley, Coach Urbad, I had Coach Jernigan and, Coach Omar Smith. I mean, we all got along. And, at that time we was, and I still think we're the first and only professional team to win 20 games. And, to be a part of that, we had the number one defense of all time. And at that time, we had the number one offense of all time. So having those two means a lot to me. And I got 2 rings out of it. So I'm trying to work on getting the number 3. I know Coach O'Neill down in Salina is the man. We had our battles back in the old AFL days. So I'm going to try to see if I can get to his stature here in the CIF.
I like that. How do you come up with your offensive and defensive plays? Is it something like you carve out a certain amount of time, certain days a week, or is it just, it just comes to you and you got to stop the car, pull over and find a piece of paper?
Actually, there's a couple of times that does happen. And I got a pad right next to the bed in case I wake up at 2:00 in the morning to write things down. But the main thing that we do is a lot of film study, bringing in coaches that this is important to. Because the thing is that we're teaching importance and character to our players. But if my coaches don't have that, then it's a moot point because that's players. They're going to see the coach. They see how the coaches are working. They're seeing the time that they're putting in. And once they understand that, it's a trickle-down effect.
Coach, I think training camp is about 6 days out, 7 days out.
Excuse me.
Walk us through week 1, week 2, leading into that first preseason game.
Well, our first, everybody should be in by the 9th. We have a meeting Friday night at 8:00 just to do a little general, let them know what's about to happen. And then that Saturday, we have our, our physicals, headshots, all that to make sure guys are, do all the paperwork to make sure everything is good. Meet and greet, have our owner, Steve Tice, come in and let the players know what his expectations of the season is. And then we have our conditioning test that Sunday at the rec center here in Gillette. And then basically we start Monday. it's hard, and I hope guys understand. Really, so you have 2 weeks of training camp to really put a team together, to make sure that they fit, your philosophy, both offensive, defensively, and special teams. And then once we get that done, we'll make our cuts probably February 24th, 25th. And then we're getting ready for Southwest Kansas, and we're on the road. We leave out Friday morning, to get ready to go down there and play against a great team.
Great. Coach, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. We're all excited for this season to get rolling. I wish you the best of luck for sure.
Thank you very much. And on behalf of Gillette, we appreciate this. I know that, like we spoke kind of earlier, after, the 2 years of being, discombobulated, now that the fans see that there is structure here, that we have a plan here, that Steve Titus has a goal here, and he's put a first-class organization together, and it's our job now to win football games.
Yes, that is fantastic. Well, appreciate that again. Thank
you very much
again, Coach. Thank you, everybody.
Sir.
Thank you, Gillette Mustangs. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the show, please do so now. This will be a weekly show that we do. So look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.